will discuss about the leadership style of managers, and the content of this course would be what is meaning of leadership, leadership theories, trait theory, behavioral theory, contemporary theories of leadership, contemporary views of leadership, and transactional and transformational leadership, charismatic and authentic leadership, and self leadership. So, the learning outcomes would present an overview of how different leadership style can influence employees to achieve organizational goals. It will also help us understand how various contemporary issues in leadership, and moving forward with the introduction of leadership. After people are hired and inducted into an organization, managers must oversee and coordinate their work so that an organizational goal can be pursued and can be achieved. So, the very understanding of leadership function is, as it involves organizations people, it is an important as well as a challenging function. As we know that organizational resources are limited, the resources are labor, capital, material, machinery, information, and they need to be distributed effectively, they need to be distributed to people, and an optimal utilization of resources will help organization to attain the goals. So, therefore, there are some management functions, and these management functions will help in planning, organizing, staffing, leading and controlling, so that the resources are optimally utilized, and this would help in attainment of goals in a most effective and efficient manner. The focus of this chapter or the focus of this discussion would be on the leading functions of management. We will start with a fundamental definition of leadership, leader and leading role. What is leadership? Leadership is a process of influencing people. It is an art or process of influencing people so that they will strive or work willingly and enthusiastically towards attainment of group goals. Who is a leader? Leader is someone who can influence others, who can motivate others to work. So, leader is someone who can influence others and who have the authority, managerial power. So, effective leader helps group of people to define their goals and find ways to achieve them. Leading is one of the management functions which ensures that organizational goals are achieved efficiently and effectively. So, what are the ingredients of leadership or the factors of leadership, or we can say that certain important points to be covered in leadership. One who has power or leadership bestows power to a person or a leader. Leadership involves fundamental understanding of people, understanding the people with whom you are working. It is the ability to inspire followers to apply their full capability. It involves different styles and development of organizational climate. And fundamental principle of leadership, since people tend to follow those who in their view offer them a means of satisfying their own personal goals. People generally have a tendency to obey those individuals who can help probably or who can facilitate them to reach their personal goals. If managers understand what motivates their subordinates and how these motivations operate, the more they reflect their understanding in carrying out their managerial actions, and the more effective they are likely to be as leaders. So, it is very important for a leader to understand the motivational factors behind the followers or what is motivating their followers, then probably they can be successful leaders. So, there are various theories of leadership that I would be discussing here. The dominant theories of leadership are trait theories, behavioral theories and contemporary theories of leadership. The trait theory emphasizes on the personality traits of the leader. Behavioral theories, as the name goes, it emphasizes on the specific behavior of the leader, and contemporary theories they say that a leader is effective in a particular situation. So, their focus is on contingency factors of leadership. And moving forward with the trait theory of leadership and who are the proponents of the trait theory of leadership, we will discuss the evolution of trait theory in the year 1920s and 30s. Leadership research in 1920s and 30s focused on isolating leadership traits or leaders traits or characteristics. The theories that consider personality, social, physical or intellectual traits to differentiate leader from non-leader. A leader is having certain specific traits. However, trait theories proved impossible to identify a set of traits that would always differentiate leader from non-leaders. So, they could not identify the specific traits which the leader possesses. Of course, these theories said that traits are the distinguishing factor between leader and a non-leader. Traits alone were not sufficient to identify effective leaders, because it ignored the interaction of leader and the followers or group members, as well as it could not accommodate the contingent factors. So, traits can predict leadership, but they are better at predicting leaders emergence than effectiveness. So, traits are obviously one of the distinguishing factors from a leader and non-leader, but they can only say that they are the predicting factors predicting leaders emergence rather than effectiveness. 7 traits of leadership. What are the 7 traits? Leader has a drive, desire to lead, honesty and integrity, self confidence, intelligence, job relevant knowledge and extraversion. The trait theory says that a leader should have a drive to lead. Leaders exhibit a high level of effort, they have relatively desire for achievement, they are ambitious and they have a lot of energy or a positive energy, they are persistent in their activities and show initiative. They have a desire to lead. Leaders have a strong desire to influence and lead others. They demonstrate the willingness and take responsibility. Honesty and integrity. Leaders build trusting relationship with followers by being truthful and non-deceitful and by showing consistency between work and deed, between the word and deed. Self-confidence. Followers look to the leaders for an absence of self-doubt. Leaders should exhibit self-confidence. Therefore, they need to show self-confidence in order to convince followers. If the followers perceive that leader is confident, has no self-doubt, then there would obviously be faith on that leader. So, this self-confidence will help the followers to understand or followers to obey their leader. Intelligence is another factor, another trait. Leaders need to be intelligent enough to gather, synthesize and interpret large amount of information, and they need to be able to create visions, solve problems and make corrective decisions. And job relevant knowledge. Effective leader has a high degree of knowledge, or they specialize on a particular area or knowledge domain about the company, the industry and their technical or the professional matter. In-depth knowledge allows leaders to make well informed decisions and to understand the implications of those decisions. Extraversion or introversion is another trait. Extraversion means the person is able to speak effectively. Extraversion is a factor. Leaders are energetic, they are lively people, they are sociable, assertive and rarely silent or withdrawn. If a leader is introvert, he is less accepted. If a leader is extrovert, So, he is most accepted as he is able to speak up his mind, is sociable, assertive, and he is not a social recluse. He mingles with people, takes people along with him. So, these are 7 traits of leadership. The next theory is the behavioral theory. The theory proposes that there are specific behavior that differentiates leader from non-leaders. Difference between theories of leadership, the trait theory and the behavioral theory. Leadership is inherent as per trait theory. So, we must identify the leader based on his or her traits. The theory, behavioral theory says that leadership is a skill set and can be taught to anyone. So, we must identify the proper behavior to develop potential leaders. This theory emphasizes that a leader possesses certain unique behavior or exhibits certain behavior to be accepted as a leader. So, there are some studies which have been carried out, the most important ones being University of Iowa studies. It explores 3 leadership styles. One is autocratic leader, democratic leader and laissez-faire styles of leadership. Autocratic leadership style described a leader as one who dictated work methods, made unilateral decisions and limited employee participation. They are directive leaders. Autocratic leadership style is the kind of a top down leadership style, where the terms and conditions or the work responsibility or work methods is just dictated to the subordinate, and the premise here is that people obey or the employees obey the words of the senior management or the leader without any questions being raised. Democratic leadership style described a leader who involved employees in decision making, who always emphasized on delegating authority and used feedback as an opportunity for coaching employees. So, democratic leaders are basically participative leader. They involve employees in decision making, they develop employees by allowing them to question or give suggestions, so that there is always a sense of ownership of employees in every decision. Then the third one is laissez-faire leadership style, otherwise also called free rein leaders. Laissez-faire leadership style described a leader who let the group make decisions, who did not mingle in the decision making, did not involve, did not give any directions. These leaders keep aloof from the decision making, and the complete task is being given to the followers, complete the work in whatever way they saw it fit. So, the behavioral theories of leadership: autocratic leader is giving directions to the followers, democratic or participative leaders, they take views of the followers, they involve people in decision making, they delegate power, and the free rein leader is giving freedom to the followers to take decision, to give suggestions, and he does not interfere in their decision making process. Apart from the Iowa studies, there is another Ohio State University study which found 2 key dimensions of leader behavior. One is initiating structure and other one is consideration. Let us discuss in more detail what is this Ohio State University study. Initiating structure is the extent to which leader defined his role and the role of the group members in attaining goals. The consideration is the extent to which leader had relationship characterized by mutual trust and respect for group members. So, these 2 factors are considered in Ohio State University study, that is initiating structure, where the leader defined roles of the group members as well as his defined his role as well as the role of group members in obtaining goals. and a consideration which emphasized on the extent of leader had relationship with the followers based on mutual trust. There is another study which is given by University of Michigan. They found that two key dimensions of leader behavior are employee orientation and task orientation or production orientation. Employee orientation emphasizes on the interpersonal relationship and is the most powerful dimension. The task orientation or production orientation emphasize the technical aspects of the job. The dimensions of two studies, Ohio and Michigan, are very similar to each other. And then further moving on to the next leadership style, which has been proposed by Blake and Morton, the Blake and Morton's managerial grid. Developed by Blake and Morton, Robert Blake and Jane Morton in 1964, draws on both studies, that is Ohio and Michigan, to assess leadership style, that is concern for people is consideration and employee orientation. The second one, that is concern for production, is initiating structure and production orientation. Moving further to the Blake and Morton's managerial grid, on the x axis, concern for production is plotted on a scale of 1 to 10, and on the y axis again a scale of 10 or on a 10-point Likert type scale. Concern for people is plotted on the y axis, and with 1 as low and 9 as high on both the axes. So, the style is determined by position on the graph. 1 is impoverished management. Impoverished management exert minimum effort to get required work done. Concern for production is low at 1 and concern for people is also low. So, this 1 is called impoverished management style. Impoverished. The next one is task management, that is 9-1. Task management, here the manager is concerned more on the production and less on people orientation or relationship orientation. It is called task management. Task management. Efficiency in operations results from arranging conditions of work in a manner that human elements interfere to a minimum degree. The 5-5, that is called middle of the road or middle of the road management, middle of the road management. So, what is this? Here the concern for production is at 5 and concern for people is also at 5. So, in this the adequate organizational performance is possible through balancing the necessity to get work done as well as maintaining morale of people at a satisfactory level. Then 1-9 is another position which is called country club managers. Country club managers. The thoughtful attention to needs of people. 1-9 is where the concern for people is 1 and concern for production is 1 and concern for people is 9. So, country club management is thoughtful attention to needs of people for satisfying relationship leads to comfortable friendly organizational atmosphere. So, the leader's focus is less on the production targets and more on the people orientation or relationship focus. So, here the employees get a comfortable workplace to work, but their result orientation is minimal. The team management 9-9, where the concern for production is 9 or very high and concern for people is also very high, is called team management. Team management. Work is accomplished from committed people. committed people, interdependence through a common stake in organizational purpose leads to relationship, trust and respect. So, there is a equal concern or equally high concern for production and concern for people. So, which is called a team management. So, in the Blake and Morton's managerial grid, the emphasis is on concern for production as well as on people, concern for people, and both these have been plotted on a 9-point scale. The concern for people is low to high is plotted, and the concern for production is plotted on a 9-point scale, that is 1 to 9. 1 is low on production and 9 is high on production, and we arrived at 5 different positions. One is low, one which is impoverished leadership style, where low concern for management, low concern for production and low concern for people. 9-1 where the concern for production is high and concern for people is low, which is called task management. Then we arrived at the third position, that is 5-5, which is the middle of the road management, where there is an equal concern for management for production as well as equal concern for people, and not on a very high scale or a rating scale. So, this this position is called middle of the road. Then the next one is 1-9 leadership style, which is also called the country club management. The focus is 1 on production and 9 on concern for people. So, there is more of relationship orientation, and the last one is called team management, which is 9-9 with equal emphasis on the concern for production and concern for people. 9 is a scale for concern for production and concern for people. Then moving further, we will discuss about the contingency theories of leadership. After discussing the trait theories or the personality traits of individual, which is a distinguishing factor for leader and non-leader, and the behavioral factors which decides how a leader can be different from non-leaders, and the emphasis is that the behavioral theory says that leaders can be developed. While trait and behavior theories do help us understand leadership, an important component is missing, that is the role of environment in which the leader exists. Contingency theories emphasis is on the environmental role. Contingency theory deals with additional aspects of leadership effectiveness studies. The 3 key theories of contingency theories of leadership are Fiedler's model, Hershey and Blanchard's situational leadership theory, and path goal theory of leadership. What is Fiedler's model? Fiedler's model, effective group performance depends on the proper match between leadership style and the situation. It assumes that leadership style based on orientation revealed in least preferred co-worker questionnaire is fixed. So, Fiedler's model emphasizes on effective group performance depends on match between leadership style and the situation. Then it assumes that leadership style is based on orientation as revealed in the least preferred co-worker questionnaire is fixed, considers 3 situational factors. One is leader member relations, task structure and position power. Leader member relationship, degree of confidence and trust in the leader. What is the level of confidence and trust in the leader? Task structure, degree of structure in the jobs. Position power, leaders' ability to hire, fire and reward. Position power, that is leaders' ability to hire, fire and reward. Task structure, degree of structure in the jobs. For effective leadership must change to a leader who fits the situation or change the situational variables to fit the current leader. So, graphic representation of the Fiedler's model it is used to determine which type of leader is used in a given situation. So, if you look at the category, there are 8 different categories formed based on the 3 factors or 3 situational factors, that is leader member relations, task structure and position power. If and we also can rate it from say we can put that in a say the task orientation and leadership orientation from poor to good. Performance can be rated from poor to good, and say favorable to unfavorable. Situations can be favorable to unfavorable. So, the first one is position power is strong. When the position power is very strong and task structure is very high and leader member relationship is good, that comes under the first category. When the position power is weak, task structure is high and the leader member relationship is good. So, what we have seen in this graphical representation, the performance can be poor to good, the relationship, the task structure can be say low to high, and position power can be weak and strong. So, in the first category, the position power is strong, task structure is high and leader member relationship is good. The second category, the position power is weak, the task structure is high and the leader member relationship is good. The third category is the position power is strong, leader member the task structure is low and the leader member relationship is good. The fourth category, where the position power is weak, the task structure is low and the leader member relationship is good. The next category, that is the fifth category, the position power is strong, task structure is high and leader member relationship is poor. Then in the sixth category, the position power is weak, task structure is high and leader member relationship is poor. And in the seventh category, again the position power is strong, task structure is low and leader member relationship is poor. And eighth category, the position power is weak, task structure is low and leader member relationship is poor. So, there are different positions, different situations from favorable to unfavorable. In if we plot, we can determine which type of leadership to use in a given situation. The situation can be favorable to unfavorable, and assessment of Fiedler's model, the positives, the considerable evidence supports the model, especially if original 8 situations are grouped into 3 major categories, that is favorable, moderate and unfavorable situations. The problem is here the logic behind least preferred co-worker scale is not understood, the LPC scores are not stable, contingency variables are complex and very hard to determine. Then what is Hershey-Blanchard's situational leadership? What is Hershey-Blanchard's leadership, situational leadership? It is a model that focuses on followers' readiness. How much is the follower ready? And followers can accept or reject the leaders. There are certain points which we need to highlight. When the followers are ready to accept or reject the leader, effectiveness of this leadership style depends on followers' response to leaders' actions. Readiness is the extent to which people have ability and willingness to accomplish a specific task. There are 4 stages. The first stage is people are both unable and unwilling to take responsibility. The second stage, where people are unable but they are willing to take necessary job tasks. The third stage is people are able, but not willing to take up the leader what leader wants. And the fourth stage is people are both able as well as willing to do what the leader has asked them to do. It is a parental model where leader follower relationship is just like a parent and child relationship. As followers reach higher levels of readiness, leader decreases control, leader exercises less of control. This theory uses the same two leadership dimensions which the Fiedler model has used, that is task and relationship behavior, but Hershey and Blanchard considers each as either high or low, then combining into 4 leadership styles. So, Hershey and Blanchard's leadership style on one axis is the task behavior, which can be categorized either as low to high, and on the other one is the relationship behavior, which can be rated from low to high. So, based on that we come across 4 leadership styles. One is delegating style, where the task behavior is low and relationship behavior is also low. Delegating style, where turn over decisions, followers are able, they are willing and confident. When task behavior is high and relationship behavior is low, that is telling style, give instructions to the subordinates, followers are unable, they are unwilling and not confident. Then the third one is participating style, where the task behavior is low and the relationship behavior is very high. Participating style emphasizes on sharing ideas. Followers are able, but they are unwilling and not very confident. The final one is high on task and high on relationship. Selling style, explain your decisions. Followers are unable, they are willing, but willing and confident, but they are unable to do it. So, you can adopt a selling style, explain your decisions. Then we move towards the path goal theory of leadership, which is proposed by House. It builds from the Ohio State of Studies and expectancy theory of motivation. This theory, the leader provides followers with information, support and resources to help them achieve their goals. Leader helps clarify the path to the workers' goals, and leaders can display multiple leadership types. So, the 4 types of leadership is directive, supportive, participative and achievement oriented. Directive style focuses on the work to be done. Supportive leaders are those, they focus on the well-being of the worker, that is more focus on people orientation. Participative are those who consult with employees in decision making, and achievement oriented leaders are those who set or give challenging goals to subordinates. So, path goal theory of leadership, there are 2 classes of contingency variables. One is environment or outside of employees control. Environment is environmental or outside control of employees. Subordinate factors are internal to employees. And mixed support in research findings, leader behavior, and it is the main here the focus is the effect of leader behavior on performance outcome and is assessed. Leader behavior can be directive, participative, achievement oriented and supportive. And here the impact of subordinates contingency factor is studied as a moderator variable, and also the role of environment or the contingency factor is also studied as a moderating variable. So, what are the factors contingent factors, subordinates locus of control is experience and perceived ability are certain factors which act as a moderating variable. Environmental factors or contingency factors are task structure, formal authority and work group. So, with this I would like to conclude this session here. What we discussed is, we discussed about we started with a definition of leadership, leader, and then we discussed about what is leading function. Further moving on to the ingredients of leadership, we discussed about the fundamental principles of leadership, leadership theories, and we discussed about the trait theory, behavioral theory, contemporary theories of leadership, Fiedler's theory, situational theory and path goal theory of leadership. We discussed about the trait theories, behavioral theories, and then in the end we discussed about the path goal theory of leadership, and in the next chapter we will discuss about some more theories or contemporary views of leadership, transactional, transformational, charismatic leadership styles. Thank you.